I remember some of his sermons, but I'll tell you what I remember even more was just the wisdom he would drop in the car. We'd be driving up and he would always start it with like, do whatever you want. He said, but never look at the money. I said, what? He said, some places pay you to speak, some don't. And you never want money to affect how you treat people, good or bad. He said, oftentimes you'll speak somewhere and they'll just hand you a check. He said, just throw it in a bag, don't look at it. Never let money affect the way you treat people. Just love everybody the same, doesn't matter. He's like, never look at the money. I'm like, okay. And he would look at me and he'd say, you know what, do whatever you want. He said, but everyone walks into a lunchroom and they just go to wherever the coolest people is that they happen to be friends with and they sit by them. He said, I pray before I walk into the lunchroom and say, God, where do you want me to sit? He said, and often it is with the people I know, but every now and again it's not. I just want to be open to let the Lord use my lunch hour however he wants. And he would just drop stuff like that. And then I'd watch him at night before we'd go to bed, just read his Bible and pray and go to bed. And then he would do the same thing in the morning. I'm like, you just did that, but he would do it in the morning too. And I got to tell you something, it was interesting. Years later, I ended up speaking places. I ended up speaking at different camps. And I would hear people talk about ministry as a gig and a bit and like this was a performance. And it was so odd. And someone asked me, man, why don't you think of it that way? You think of it like a minister, not like you're the talent. And I was like, it's because I had a good mentor who showed me what integrity looks like. The gospel's easier to believe when you see it lived out in a human life. And Gregg's life has preached more to me than his sermons ever did, as great as they are. And people need to see that. The young world is hurting to see the gospel lived out among God's people. But for them to consider us, they have to have proximity to us. Are you inviting people into your world to see what it is you do? We need that. They need it.